Okay, here for a quick video to go over the Alien franchise while it's somewhat fresh in my head. Just recently watched all of these, so finished Alien Earth and then went on a binge of Alien through whatever the last one was. I watched Alien versus Predator 2 was the last one, so I didn't watch them in chronological order. But got through them all. I have only seen Alien and Aliens like multiple times where I remember seeing them when I was younger and then kind of at different intervals and probably like part of the movie at times and then like the full thing recently. Alien 3 I'd seen maybe once before Resurrection, maybe once before. Uh, Alien versus Predator I had seen a long time ago. Alien versus Predator 2 I'd never seen. Prometheus I'd seen once. Covenant, Alien Covenant, I had never seen, and Alien Romulus, I had never seen. So watched that one, and then Alien Earth was new, so it was the first time I saw that. Um, so I'll just go in order of the movies. I think it's like when they came out. Is what it looks like here. And then I just simplified the categories to be like, is it an awesome movie? Is it a good movie? Is it kind of mediocre but entertaining? Um, is it not good? Did I not consider good? And then is it terrible? Like struggle to get through it. Now I will say this: like I think almost all of them have something in them that I'm like, oh, that at least the monster looks cool, or this was a cool death, or a little bit of tension or something. So it's not like these are the worst movies I've ever seen. There's some worse, but some are not very good either. So we'll start with Alien. Alien is more of a horror film, I would say, compared to the others. Maybe you get a little bit of this in like Romulus, but definitely tension building. It's one of those I wish I would remember when I watched it the first time because like I can't remember if I knew enough about aliens before, which I probably did, to know what the monster looked like and to know, kind of what was happening. But if not, it's one of those movies I can't imagine if you like went to the theater the first time it came out, how crazy it would have looked and been. Chest buster scene obviously would have been a huge deal when that first came out, and then seeing the alien get big. I One complaint I think I had about this, not a complaint, but just like, yeah, maybe I'd like to see it a little different. And I could be wrong in saying this. Like if I saw it, I'd be like, I didn't want that. But the alien grows really fast, and I know it does anyway, in like the whole series. But the first kill it makes, aside from busting out of the chest, it's like grown, like pretty big, if not all the way big. Um, I wish they'd have had like a smaller version that took him out, and you're like, oh, that's the alien. It's like, oh, he's this like little cat-like thing, and it's gonna kill people. Instead, it was kind of big. But if they would have done that, and then it gets revealed later, like, oh no, this thing's huge. I think that would have been pretty cool. But the suspense in that is awesome. The characters are great. Like that's one of the main things about, especially the first two movies. Um, it's not just Ripley that's great. It's that you have some investment in every character. They're like this, human character. They're not a trope. They are, they have their redeeming qualities, their flaws, their humanity, which I think is awesome in Alien. So you care about the crew when you have a death. You're like, it sucks, or you're like, oh no, you hope that person doesn't die, but they are. And then obviously Ripley is cool in it. I guess I was trying to think again. If you go into it the first time a long time ago, I'm assuming it was just advertised as like Sigourney Weaver is the star, but I don't know if she was like a huge star before that. So maybe you didn't know that Ripley was going to be uh, kind of the main person. You might have thought it was Dallas or somebody like that. But I again don't remember who was famous beforehand. So Alien is awesome. Alien is for sure awesome. It was great to see it again. I hadn't seen it in quite a while. Um, Pick up on like some more subtle things and stuff, and just the way that they shot it, the atmosphere and everything is awesome. And the pacing. Ash is a great villain in it. you just don't quite know what to expect, and then you see what happens later on. Okay, let's move to Aliens. So, Aliens, the sequel, the James Cameron sequel, Ridley Scott did the original. A nice dichotomy of two directors there. So, Aliens, I remember seeing Aliens more than I remember seeing Alien. In fact, like with Aliens, I probably knew more of the scenes and stuff, and I thought there was a scene in there that I was like, "Is this not in the movie?" Because I watched it again and ended up it was one of the deleted scenes. So I guess before I had seen like an extended cut or something, so I went back and watched those scenes. And then the crazy thing going back to Alien was I had this like scene in my head. I was like, I swear I remember a scene where like Dallas was in a cocoon. And I'm like, but it didn't happen when I watched the movie. And then I looked at the deleted scene. So I guess that was like a deleted scene from Alien, which explains like an extended cut. So anyway, yeah, after watching the extended cut, the only scene really they had like a scene in the extended about Ridley having a daughter or Ripley having a daughter, which I guess is supposed to make it more consequential about how she treats Newt and kind of the motherly, feeling, which I didn't feel was needed, really. I mean, it was fine if it would have been in there, but it was just, I already got that sense from her that she's just a good, caring person. Like, she didn't need justification. It doesn't have to have a motherly instinct. She's just a caring person with that motherly instinct anyway. But that is a theme, right? With a lot of these alien films, you get the kind of like relationships, the motherly, the feelings, the connection between creatures and things. So I get it. The cool scene that I think they left out of the original cut was when they had automated like cannons shooting the aliens out, and they ran out of ammo. But it was like cool to see them get them mowed down, uh, which you would hope. These are Marines that are supposed to have like great weapons and stuff, which they do in the movie, but at the same time, like, and they have limitations of what they can do. But I thought those were pretty cool. So again, with Aliens, they do an awesome job with the characters, caring about people that had two lines, three lines, whatever it was, or they at least were distinct. You're like, oh, I know who that person is, or I have a sense of who that is, and cool creature effects, all those things, and awesome that they didn't try to like recreate the first one, and just do like a horror kind of suspense aliens movie. If this was action, like still had horror elements in it, monster horror stuff, but the action was awesome. The having the Marines make a dent. They're not like completely hapless, which is cool. It has one of the coolest scenes to me, where Reese breaks through the glass to save Ripley and Newt from the face huggers. Like, I kind of forgot about that scene, and then I watched it this time. I was like, oh yeah, that's really cool. Where he busts through and saves him. The Queen reveal is awesome. But the coolest thing about the movie to me, and I know it's like the main thing, I'm sure that everybody says, it is seeing Ripley become a badass. Like in the first one, she survives and is still pretty cool. But the second one, she's like a badass. And so when anybody today is like, oh, we need strong female characters, it's like, you have to do it right. Because if you just make them not earn it and go do whatever just because they're the female lead, like, it does not work. I'd say that with male leads too, but like female especially, and she's the antithesis of that. She is like, you just 100% buy in that she's a badass, and that she, her motives to go back and to save Newt and to like stand up and do everything she does is awesome. So she definitely is the main reason I think that movie's successful. But all the other Marines play their part. Certainly Hicks is awesome in that movie. So yeah, a lot of cool elements there, a lot to be said. So that'd be in the awesome category as well. And at the end, I'll go through and rank them. But for now, I'll just throw them in categories. I'm sure I won't have as much to say about some of the other ones here. We'll see. All right, Alien 3. I know this movie is hated by a lot of people. It is a very depressing movie. It really is. Like like nihilistic approach to it. This, you come off, it's a direct sequel to Aliens, but it's years later, like in real time. And I know you can't, like Newt can't be in the movie. How would you do it unless you had a replacement actor? And maybe you could, but yeah, Newt can't be there. Michael Bain would be in it, but you know, he'd be older too. So I don't know if it was contract stuff. I don't know if it was just the script or the writing. I'm sure they had script issues and everything with this one. But at the same time, it just doesn't have nearly the same weight as the others. Ripley's in it. Ripley's still great. Like Sigourney Weaver's still great in it. There's a few things that are really jarring for me in this movie, and it's not that they killed off the characters. Like, you could, what else are you gonna do? Or you got to come up with something completely different in a different timeline. But I would say the two things were, one, the additional characters are all so bland, and it doesn't make it any easier that most of them are like just male shaved head. There's mostly white. The one who's memorable is black, and he's great. I thought he was good. But the other characters was kind of like cannon fodder, and I'm just like, who just died? Like, which one died, and what was his deal? Oh yeah, that's that. That was one thing. The other thing, well, maybe it's three things. The other thing, some of the effects get to like CGI ish and look jarring. You just are following an alien. You're like, what the heck is that thing? So that's a little distracting. And then I'd even say like the end of it, they're like going through all these corridors and stuff. I was kind of getting lost. I'm like, where are they? What are they trying? They're trying to get into this furnace, and it's just hallway after hallway. I'm like, okay, and I know that's like an alien thing, right? They're in corridors, makes sense, makes things more suspenseful, get it. But this one was, I just kept getting kind of lost. Uh, that said, do I? This one's a tough one to score. Did I like hate it? Hate it? Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did this. No. Um, of course, if you try to like put it up against the first two, you're just going to say it's not good at all. Um, I will set it in entertaining for now. I don't know that it's going to stay there. We'll see. Um, I'll also say what Charles Dance, or whatever his name is in real life, the actor. I thought his character was fine too. The doctor that got killed. Yeah, it's kind of crazy because I thought I'd only seen this once a long, long time ago, and I was like, I feel like he made it toward the end of the film. He didn't. He kind of died halfway through, which is fine, but just forgot. All right, Alien Resurrection, another hated movie. Um, it is Ripley's clone. I think it was Ripley 8 was the name. You've got her kind of waking up. She's got some kind of like alien, her DNA to it. You got a different cast of characters with some like um, different skills and weird things. Johnner, I think, was the dude with the big guns, and there was the, gosh, I can't remember his name now, but guy that could like shoot and ricochet stuff off of different spots and hit things. And then you had Winona Ryder in it, who ended up being she was a synth, but yeah. So I'll say this: I went into it having very low expectations because I like knew it was supposed to suck. Was it good? I don't think so. Was it entertaining? I was entertained. I was. I thought some of the characters sucked. Some of them were good. Some of the movie was way too campy. Like, they had a couple actors. It's like, where's the direction? It's like a freaking comedy for a couple scenes. But if I take that out and just focus on like some of the deaths and like fighting and the underwater scenes, it's just entertaining. Like, it kept my attention. And then at the end, there's like the super weird hybrid creature, alien, queen got murdered. Like, yeah, it's pretty cool. So is it a good movie? It's not, but it was entertaining. All right. So I think we have these backwards here, but that's fine. I'll flip them. So Alien versus Predator and Alien versus Predator 2. So not canon from what I understand. I had seen at least part of Alien versus Predator before. I remember him being in Antarctica. I remember some of the deaths for sure. I didn't remember the characters very much at all. Main girls like and Ridley's not in these at all. So main girl is like a mountain climber who was recruited to go to Antarctica with the Charles Whalen, who looks like Bishop. And so the question is, well, did they pattern Bishop after Charles? Generations later. I should have said that Bishop's awesome in Aliens as well. He's got a Bishop 2 in Alien 3, but in Alien vs Predator, it's just the human. He's the guy who recruits him. He's like terminally ill. He's trying to go find pyramid. They find the pyramid. The predators just happen to have been in space going to do their little ritual. They shot like a laser into the pyramid to create a space to go see it. There's a lot of exposition from the guy talking about cultures and sacrifice and like why they do things, the annoying anthropology crap to me in the movie. You had the like military-ish people, the cannon fodder type folks. They try probably with a couple of the characters to create some sentimentality. It's like, oh, this guy has a son, and this guy. It's like, okay. But you really, I didn't really find any attachment to the people in it. It's similar to me a little bit Godzilla movies where it's, the human factor isn't the main thing, but it does matter. It's you gotta have a little bit of a human story to be really compelling, but the monsters are the center of the show. I didn't really, I didn't hate the action in it. There were some dumb things I didn't like, the like temple pyramid moving around and like, oh, this door shuts and this one opens and all that. I'm like, this is too much. These corridors changing and all this. I wanted just more of like an open fight. And the dumb thing, and I hadn't seen, and I haven't seen the Predator movies in a while. I've only seen the first couple, but it seemed far too easy that the aliens were fighting and killing the Predators. There were like two of them that died almost immediately. And I'm like, well, what? Did we have like the super predator in the original one with Arnold Schwarzenegger or what? It got a little bit better. The last one held his ground a bit, but then it got to the just dumb thing at the end where it's like, oh, now my enemy is my friend, the predator. I have respect. I get that that's probably been done a little bit with Danny Glover or whatever. But, it just, I don't know. It felt kind of dumb. So I will have Alien versus Predator as uh, it's between not good and terrible. uh, I'll hold off now because I try not to be where I'm like too heavily loaded one way or the other, and I want to make sure I don't miss something here. All right, the next one, and I just finished this: Alien versus Predator 2. Oh, and I should have said this about Alien versus Predator. I didn't know it, but as I watched it, I thought it. I'm like, this doesn't seem like it's rated R. Like this, there's some violence, but most of it's like cutaway stuff, especially with humans. So you don't, you're seeing maybe alien blood and things, but you're not. And I was like, oh, okay, it is. They overcorrected here, I think, a little bit with 2, where they said, all right, that you think that was the problem, then we'll fix it. We're going to add a lot of humans, and we're going to have a lot of gore. Some of it's kind of cool, but some of it's like to me unnecessary. They were going for shock factor. You can tell me they were killing pregnant women, killing kids, like going hardcore for sure. Now, I think the problem I had with it, and I don't know if this is like a common feeling about this movie, I didn't look it up or anything, is like it felt like a slasher movie, like a 80s like not good slasher movie, maybe like Friday the 13th 3 or something, I don't know, where you're setting up these human characters as these like, who cares, but these are who they are, people that are probably going to die because they're kind of dumb. And that's what it felt like for the first, I don't know, 3/4 of the movie. And I thought to myself, I'm like, oh, one thing that's a little jarring about this one for me is that it's pretty well the only one I've seen where there's not like a strong female lead. Um, and I'm not even one person who said like, because I thought that I'm like, maybe you don't need one. Maybe that's not the point. And then they kind of tried to do it at the end. They had like this helicopter pilot lady who just had a gun, and then a guy who's, I guess an ex con or a convict or something, and he had gotten out and he was good with guns. That all of a sudden started shooting aliens and stuff that apparently the Marines or whoever, National Guard, whoever came in with their rifles couldn't kill. It was kind of inconsistent. The Predator was a little more deadly in this. There's the Pred Alien that popped out at the end of Alien versus Predator that comes out. The movie was really dark, I thought. I don't know if it was my TV, but it's like at the end, I'm like, is that the Predator or the Pred Alien? Like, who's beating who? There's random deaths. Like one of the girls got like a shuriken into a wall, and I was like, where did that come from? Like I get random deaths, but that was just kind of like he happened to throw it at something else, and she just happened to be running by at the time. Those kind of seem dumb to me versus like the hunting kills. So anyway, Alien versus Predator didn't have any interesting characters. Kind of like I was saying, I didn't think. I'm going to try to rank characters. We'll see how that goes. This was terrible, though. This was worse than Alien versus Predator, I think. I'll have to weigh those two. They're kind of different, bad in different ways. All right. Okay. Yeah, Prometheus and then Alien Covenant. So these are both really Prometheus movies, which I thought the second one was actually called Prometheus something, Prometheus Covenant or something. I could be wrong, or it was just Covenant, and then maybe they rebranded it. But I remember not seeing it. When Prometheus came out, because I'd have been older and like could go see in theaters. I don't think I was super excited to see it, but I did go see it, and I was confused. I remember coming out and I was just like, I don't know, and maybe it's because I just am not like an Alien person, and I haven't like seen Alien or Aliens in a long time, and I was trying to absorb it, but I just couldn't get it. So this was like my second watch of it. I had not really seen it. It made more sense now. Some of it, like basic things that I should have just understood from seeing Alien and Aliens. Like there's more about like synthetics and things that I just didn't I remember going into it. So when David is in it, who's a key character, I kind of got him a little bit more. Um, the whole thing with the engineers, it's harkening back to the original Alien, like, oh yeah, that's the space jockey thing and the chest buster, blah blah blah. Got it. It was a little confusing at the beginning, like it drinks black goo, one of them does, and like dies but goes in and like seeds life. Is that supposed to be Earth? Is that another planet and we're just getting told that's what they do? Why, if it was Earth, do they come back and try to destroy it with the black goo later if that's what they were coming to do? I got confused about like if these people are so damn smart, why did the military base or whatever they were in like have a breach and like all these aliens take over? Once the aliens kill them, where are they? Like what is going on? And I get it. Maybe somebody who knows all the answers, and if I looked online, they'd be like, oh yeah, this is exactly how it works. But I still left it the second time going like, I don't quite get it. Um, so Shaw, the female lead, I thought was okay. I didn't think it was like groundbreaking. The guy that she was with, she had a baby, and the baby was like an alien, so she had a laser cut out. I do remember that scene from the first time and saw it the second time. So there was like some, kind of cool special effects stuff here and there. It was kind of dumb though. Like she got up and started running as soon as she got out of surgery. It's like, I don't care what the technology is. You just had your stomach cut open and it's stapled up. So there were just some like jarring things like that I thought were dumb. And then the end, the engineer, one of them comes out and attacks her, and she survives because the alien baby or whatever came out. So I think she survived, and then David's head. It was also a little dumb with the um, what the a big ship, the alien ship. I guess it was like an escape ship or something they were trying to take, and then they rammed their ship into it to stop it, which is fine. You go do that. But then it like was crashing, and you see Charlize Theron and the Shaw running away, and I kept thinking, I'm like, just run right or run left, like stop running. This thing's coming down. Just look up, like make a decision. And sure enough, like Shaw misses it by just like going right like 2 feet. And the other girl just kept running straight, and like it was like freaking Austin Powers getting rolled over or when he rolled over the guy. Um, so yeah, there were just some things that I thought were a little kind of not super well done there too. Um, my problem with it is I don't even know if it was entertaining, like thought provoking. I guess maybe I should have a category for that. I'll stick it there for now. I wouldn't say it was good. I did not come away thinking like, oh, I've got to go watch Prometheus again. Like, let me digest all of the nuances that Ridley Scott has figured out. It feels more like they're grasping for some things to make them make sense, but maybe I'm wrong. All right, Alien Covenant. So, this is where you've got a ship. You've got a bunch of colonists in the ship in pods, like 2,000 colonists. You got a crew. James Franco is the captain. You don't see James Franco in the movie. He dies before you actually see him, and then he ends up in like a video replay or something. It's like, why? Why is he in the movie? I guess he's like an Alien fan maybe and wanted to be in one. I have no idea. And I didn't pick up. I should have picked up. I wasn't paying attention probably like why his pod even started on fire inside. I didn't pick that up. But anyway, the crew wakes up. There's a distress, the old distress call thing. Okay. So then it's this is a hospitable planet and we should go do that instead of waiting another 7 years. I guess going back into cryo sleep is so awful that they don't feel like they can do that. I didn't quite grasp that either. It's like, is it that bad? Like, do you really recognize? Maybe they explain that too. But so anyway, they decide to go to the planet. They have a David looking Walter is his name, a David looking synth that's named Walter. And so they land on the planet. They run into, spores that like infect them and create alien xenomorphs and go out and, start attacking them in a field. And then all of a sudden you have a cloaked man who comes out and saves them. That is David. And David, I guess, had been repaired and rebuilt. Shaw unfortunately died in a crash. This is the homeworld, apparently, of the engineers. Now, over time, we figure out that that wasn't really what happened, that he had been experimenting on Shaw, that he had killed all of the engineers, which I didn't quite understand. He floated the ship back home. I guess she had rebuilt him. He'd floated it back. He's like hovering over this one town. He drops all the black goo over this one town, and maybe it is. This is like their whole society, though I don't know how a spacefaring, society lives in a town, and travels to other planets, like and seeds life. Like I guess that could be what they are. But anyway, kills them all, and then experiments and starts creating aliens, so xenomorphs. And I don't know. I mean, it was implied to me that he's the creator of them, and like that's how eventually they get to the first alien. The planet they land on, the first alien. And so that's the one movie I wouldn't mind seeing if they were going to make one. It's like, okay, David does escape at the end. He ends up killing everybody. They think they get away, and then it tricks them. You think it's Walter, but it's really David. Now we could kind of see that with the way he was behaving, but he gets away, has a bunch of colonists, a couple of face hugger eggs, and yeah, okay, well, what happened? How'd you get to the next spot? What happened to you? Like, that's the movie that you should make. Might be terrible, but make it. Alien Covenant, also not good. Kind of have it in that like characters didn't love. There were a couple of them that were okay, but mostly because I like an actor or something. But nobody that really stood out of note, and was, yeah, again, just didn't really answer anything. At least there are more aliens in this one, so that was an issue with Prometheus. You really didn't get that. But yeah, it was not good. I don't know if I would even call it entertaining. Like, I wouldn't go back and really want to watch that one. All right, we have two newer ones, two newer entries here. We have Alien Romulus and Alien Earth. So Alien Earth's a show, though it kind of functions as like a long movie. Alien Romulus is a standalone movie. Romulus, I did not go see in the theaters. I just didn't have any like intrigue to go see it, and part of it was like, I wasn't a huge Alien person. Like, I didn't remember the continuity and stuff too much. Be like, oh, if they're answering this question, it might be worth going to see. And it wasn't that. It was a standalone like story, effectively, not long after Alien, with a lot of callbacks to the original, more of the horror, genre kind of deal. Some somewhat cool deaths in there, I thought, using like acid and the similar themes of chest busters and things like Always, but face huggers. There are a lot of them and all that. So it was pretty good in that regard. Some interesting, but I'm not sure, good scenes. Like, I was kind of torn between. Like, there's a scene where they turn off the gravity to like kill these aliens. It felt like she should have been pushed back by the gun she was shooting a little bit more than she was, but maybe she was being held. They had to like try to dodge the acid. The whole point was like the acid. They didn't want it to cut through the ship because the ship was floating above these planetary rings and getting ready to crash. But if they would have shot them, they're on like the bottom floor, and it would have, destroyed them immediately. Probably the start of the show's the synth in that one. His name's Andy, and he is a kind of defective synth that they reprogrammed, but then they use him with more of the corporate programming, and he turns into something else. And a lot of it's about him, coping with that, dealing with that, and getting him back, which was fine. I thought that was okay, and I thought the characters were a little bit more relatable in this one. Some of them were kind of bland, but some of them a little bit more you care about them, or it's like, hey, maybe they'll make it out of here. So I thought Alien Romulus, I'd say it was good. I mean, if somebody said, is it an okay Alien movie? Yeah, it's all right. I do question like some of the plot. It was this giant research facility above a planet, like a mining planet that's owned by Weyland-Yutani, and um, it went defunct because the aliens had like gotten out and broken loose and taken over the station, all that stuff. But they should have known. The corporation would have known. I'm sure they had some presence like on the planet itself, and I'm sure they could have tried to get whatever they needed. Now the argument could be, well, they don't need whatever's on there. They've already got it somewhere else, and blah blah blah. Fine. It just kind of seemed weird that a bunch of random people were the ones that found it and went to try to get something. Like, it wasn't even protected or anything, right? There was no presence to say don't let anybody up here or whatever. So I don't know. That was kind of weird, but otherwise the visuals were good. The special effects were good. I thought the creatures looked good, so I'll call it good. Um, Alien Earth. So again, a show, a little bit of a different feel. Um, Kind of trying to, I always tried to figure out as I was watching, and I'd watched before I rewatched a lot of this, like, where does this fit in? Like, how is an alien going to be on Earth? A xenomorph going to be on Earth before the whole Ripley thing? But it's kind of concurrent because she's out in space. So anyway, there was just that part. But this show ended up being much more, to me, like synth related than actually about and maybe the ramifications and humanity of it, rather than the aliens. Now there was the eyeball monster. I don't know what they actually call it. That kind of got popular because it latches on and like takes out an eye and goes into something. Was it different? Sure. Was it like, did I get it? Not really. Like, I'm like, okay, how does this thing reproduce? Where's its brain? Is its brain just in its eye? Can't you just squish its eye like it's an eye? Well, just do that when it's coming at you. That somebody even had it like that. I'm like, just push. But maybe the pressure of it is very strong. But I get, they're trying to create some diversity in the alien world, which is okay, I guess. Then they had some other aliens, they were just more the generic kind of thing with acid or giant cocoon thing or whatever. But yeah, a lot more of it was around the difference of having like a synthetic, robot versus having a cyborg type human with more robotic arms and things and weapons. And then you had the end, which is like, or his last creation, which is, hey, we can put a human in a robot body and save these kids that are terminally ill, and they became his lost boys. It's Boy Cavalier, the eccentric trillionaire, whatever. He got on my nerves as the show got on. Some of the characters I think deteriorated in who they were. Some I liked more than others. I did think the story got too out there and it became too derivative of some other things. And it's like in Spinal Tap, maybe somewhere else, but they say it's a fine line between clever and stupid. And I think this one ended up being stupid, unfortunately. Uh, Not a fan of them recreating Jurassic Park at the end, or Jurassic World, I should say, where you have essentially a killing machine that can be trained and kind of as a pet. I'm like, we just did this and it wasn't good then. Why are we doing it again? It felt, the synth stuff felt more Blade Runner ish, which I got the shirt on. Um, which, if they were going to take it to that extreme, go ahead and do it. Like, oh, this could be in the same universe. Let's just, why not? We're already throwing other stuff out there. But they didn't, and so I struggled to kind of put the timeline together too about the synths and how all that was working, because like Boy Cavalier was a trillionaire. He had made a robot at like 6 years old, whatever. But even then, like, didn't they have synths before that? Or where did Ash come from? And maybe he was the second generation, like Boy was the first one and they stole the tech. I don't know. Like, I kind of got confused on the timelines of all that stuff. And then you've got, so the only good thing I'd say in going back and watching like Alien and Aliens and those, I felt better about some of the behavior of the synths. Whereas in the show, I was like, oh, that's a little too human that they were acting, or something quirky, maybe. But they kind of do that throughout. So I didn't think that was too much of a problem. Um, that said, would I say it's terrible? I don't think it's terrible. I mean, you could make it worse, for sure. There were some tense moments, tense things. Some things I thought they dragged on way too long, like the Lost Boys thing. The ending was dumb. Now it's just set; it's a cliffhanger. That's part of the reason it's dumb. They got season 2, I guess, coming up, but I don't know that I like where it's going anyway. Um, but we'll see. So I will have that one kind of in the not good category down here. All right, so let's rank. I usually go bottom up. Um, Again, this is not necessarily in terms of like, is it the better film? It's the more entertaining film to me. Something I would watch again versus another. So, Alien versus Predator 2. I'm going to go ahead and move Alien versus Predator down. Which would I rather watch? Boy, man, they're both really bad, I thought. Like, I'm running through my head and remembering scenes I hated or things I didn't like about them. I guess I'll give Alien vs. Predator a little bit of the nod. I thought the human characters were a little bit better. It was probably cool to like see the fighting for the first time. They did have some like cool deaths, like cut the front of the alien's head off or whatever. The net with the acid. So I'll give it a little bit of the go. The only benefit of like Aliens vs. Predator 2, but I think they took it to an extreme. It is more violent. The Predator is a little bit more Predator-ish. But man, the human characters were stupid. I really didn't care about anything and whatever. So we'll start there. Keep it at that. Alien Earth versus Alien Covenant. I'd probably have Covenant ahead of Earth. Now, that being said, it's like I'm not going to invest the time to go back and watch the entire season of Alien Earth. There was one good. I will say this about Alien Earth. There was one episode in there that I thought was pretty good, but that's just when they recreated Alien, like went back and did the ship and flashed back to like how the xenomorph got out. So that was pretty cool, but it was just a homage kind of thing. Um, Prometheus, Resurrection, and Alien 3. What is my order of how I would watch them? I think I'd have Prometheus last because I think Sigourney Weaver helps a lot, even if she's just a clone. And I get it's dumb, but I'd have it over Prometheus. The movie was boring to me for a while. Um, Wayland being there was weird. Like, I don't know. David was fine. That was good. The Shaw was fine. Idris Elba was fine, but I just didn't really care for it. These two at least had some intensity and action. Man, so Alien 3 had real Ripley. It had a whole dynamic of like these were all men in this prison. They had like a religion not to, sin kind of deal. And obviously her being the only woman created this temptation. That was a whole thing. It was just a weird dynamic. It was like totally taking it in this just different direction that I thought was a little distracting. And I didn't like some of the CGI comparatively. I'm going to put Resurrection over 3. It's a hard decision, but I'm going to do it. Prometheus I would still have behind Alien 3. All right, Romulus. It's between entertaining and good. I wouldn't say it's like a great film. I wouldn't like say, oh, this is hardcore must have in the Alien universe. But I would say it's good. I'm not gonna like knock it. I get it's derivative, but I always have to remind myself too, like not all younger people just immediately go think, oh, I need to go watch old movies. And so sometimes you have these franchises that try to get interest again. And this wasn't a bad effort to do that, and they kind of stayed fairly consistent, I think, with the overall lore without totally butchering something like, oh, we're gonna bring in this other character and see this is what they were doing when this is they didn't do that really. So I thought it was good standalone. My one complaint, I think they did a little bit of overkill on the homage front. Too many lines repeated, or things from the other movies, the Alien and Aliens specifically, that just kind of, it was enough to distract me. Like I noticed it happening. I'm like, really? Like, we didn't need that. You just don't need it. All right, now we come down to the last decision here, which I'm sure is a common one, which is Alien versus Aliens. I think it's a preference thing. I would say if you liked one versus the other, I'd totally get it. Because one's more action, one's more horror, one's more, kind of the badass people and Ripley and everything trying to like overcome these insurmountable odds. The other is more of a situation like how do we get out of here, trapped in space? There's an alien monster on your ship and there's no way to get it out. And I didn't say it before, but it's a common thread in every single one of these that like you get past the climax of what you feel is the climax, and it's not really the end. You have the alien show back up. It was hiding. It's blah blah blah, and you're like, oh my gosh, you have this second kind of anxiety you got to deal with at the end. So Alien, I'm sure the first time anybody watched that felt that, because you see it curled up and you're like, is that an alien? And then sure enough it is. You're like, oh god. And then in Aliens, you have the Queen and everything that comes back. So now, how did the Queen fit on the dropship? I think that is a valid question. It's a giant hood. I don't know, but apparently in the wheel or the storage area. I don't know. Between the two, if you're telling me which movie you're going to watch, I'm going to watch Aliens. I just love the action in it. I love the Marines. I think they add so much. Bill Paxton didn't mention him earlier, but Hudson brings a huge dynamic, and it's the subtle things, right? Like he's a character that just frustrates you at the beginning because he's such a hole. He just constantly talks and won't shut up, but then you see him get scared and like
struggle, and then you see him kind of, be brave a little bit to the end. So there's these tiny little nuanced character arcs. And I can't remember his name, but like the lieutenant who, nobody respected and all this stuff, but ended up going back and sacrificing himself, was a cool thing. So a lot of those little character arcs in there that I thought were really rewarding, that maybe a little bit more than Alien had. But for sure, they're probably both 10 out of 10 movies, or 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 movies. Whereas you get to like Romulus, that's probably more of a 7-ish out of 10 for me. Resurrection, Alien 3 are 6-ish. And then Prometheus is probably a 5. Covenant is probably a 4. Earth is probably a 4. And then AVP is probably a 3, and 2's a 3. Something like that. So interesting franchise. It does get repetitive if you watch them all at once. There's a lot of the same tropes and themes when you get to the later ones. So at least the first 2, they kept it fresh. For the third one, they were creative. I'll say that. They did something different. I just don't know that it worked. So that is the order of Alien movies, and Alien versus Predator.